Hello there and welcome back to Heroic Tales TV. This is the only show on the internet that talks about pop culture. Trust me on that. I checked. You don't have to. You just take my word for it. You don't have to do your own research. Please, just trust me on that one. And today, I am finally talking about Family Guy, which I am very excited to do because ever since the inception of my channel, I have wanted to talk about Family Guy in some sort of way, but I haven't exactly figured out what I wanted to talk about in that video. So today I decided I wanted to kind of explain this complex love-hate relationship I have with Family Guy, because I do. I love the show a lot, and I also hate it a lot. A love-hate relationship is really the best term I can use. I've been watching this show for perhaps longer than any other show, and it's been one of the one constants in my life throughout the 22 years that I've existed on this world. So, I really wanted to figure out why I got so frustrated by Family Guy and what was upsetting me so much about these later seasons, what pissed me off so much about it. So to do that, I've kind of tried to gather my thoughts in this video, and today I'm going to be talking about Family Guy's pop culture impact, I'm going to talk about its downfall, and I'm going to talk about its legacy. So with all of that being said, let's go ahead and get right into the video. Family Guy's impact on pop culture is undeniable, especially considering its rise to fame during the early 2000s. The show's unique blend of satire, cutaway gags, and offbeat humor set it apart from traditional animated sitcoms. It pushes the boundaries with its irreverent take on social issues, politics, and popular culture, often drawing both praise and criticism for its edgy content. Family Guy's success paved the way for other adult-oriented animated series such as American Dad and The Cleveland Show, which further solidified its influence on the genre. Around the ages of 10 or 12 years old is around the time that I started watching Family Guy. At that time, I would watch Cartoon Network, and at night, around 9 o'clock, they would switch to Adult Swim, and of course that would play Family Guy. So this is about the time that I started really consistently watching the show. And, you know, it was one of those things that I really did enjoy to watch because it kind of made me feel like a bigger kid. Like, in my mind at the time, this is what the teenagers and the older kids were watching. So it kind of made me feel a bit more mature for watching it. Along with that, I was able to understand a lot of the jokes at the time because Family Guy had this good balance of, you know, slightly more complex jokes and then more simple slapstick jokes that anyone could get. But because there was that second layer of jokes, when I got older, I could go and rewatch a lot of those classic episodes and appreciate them in a way that I didn't when I was a young kid.
Smoking. How does a boy like that go so wrong?
Well, I live in a crummy neighborhood.
The Brady's?
Oh, hell yeah. They got robbers, thugs, drug dealers, you name it.
You folks want some pancakes?
No, thank you. See, that's the worst we got is Jemima's witnesses.
I mean, seriously, this is actually really funny. It really is. But as a kid, I didn't know what that is. I didn't know how awkward it was going to be to have to talk to Jehovah's Witness at my door and explain to them I already like Jesus Christ how he is and I don't need the extra stuff tacked on. But that's what makes me appreciate the show, because I didn't understand it as a kid, although I did enjoy the episode as a kid. But now I can come back as an adult and enjoy the episode in a new way. Does that make sense? I'm trying my hardest to make sense and not just seem like I'm rambling. One of the show's most notable contributions to pop culture is its use of cutaway gags, which became a signature storytelling device. These brief, often random, non sequitur scenes became a staple of the show, adding an element of unpredictability and humor. Family Guy also popularized the use of cultural references and parodies, blending them seamlessly into the narrative. This approach resonated with audiences, making the cultural phenomenon that's both entertaining and thought-provoking. In a lot of ways, I think this is the start of the LOL, so random humor, you know? This sort of quick bump of comedy that we see all over the place these days in places like TikTok and Instagram. Somewhere, though, around season 6 or 7, Family Guy underwent a noticeable shift. What once made the show tick, sharp character interactions, seamless cutaways, and edgy humor, it all began to work against the show. Where they once would set up a joke that made sense and somewhat related to the context of the episode, they would later start to use cutaways and jokes that were so random and out of place that you began to wonder why they even got added in the first place.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Conway Twitty.
Nice to see you.
The landscape of adult animation and of comedy in general has changed a lot since Family Guy was first brought onto the scene back in the 1990s. Things like BoJack Horseman, Rick and Morty, and South Park have all kind of risen up and presented a formidable challenge to Family Guy, maintaining its relevance and maintaining its charm in an ever-changing world. It's not that easy to last for 20 plus years in a culture that is constantly changing and where your goalposts for comedy and for your target demographics for your audience is going to constantly be changing. Shows like Rick and Morty, like BoJack Horseman or Bob's Burgers, or any of these other relatively good copycats of Family Guy are able to offer audiences a new, darker sense of humor in the forms of Rick and Morty, but also a more nuanced and socially challenging look at comedy and at culture through the lenses of things like South Park or BoJack Horseman, who more critically and with a more nuanced sort of magnifying glass, we look at these issues within society and try to either make light of them or make some sort of commentary. Whereas Family Guy, it used to be a lot better at this, and these days if it ever tries to attack a popular issue or something wrong in pop culture or some sort of political issue, it always just, it does the bare minimum it needs to make a message, if it even tries to do that. So much of what made old Family Guy great is that their episodes actually had a theme, a message, or some sort of lesson to be learned. Whereas today in Family Guy, it's all just a bunch of incoherent nonsense. Family Guy's style to often rely on shock humor and gratuitous, gross things, it gets old and repetitive really fast. Family Guy's style of using shock humor and tackling off-color topics has really become more of a crutch in their comedy than anything else. Their comedy is so often, oh look, someone with a different lifestyle, whether that's religion or sexuality or whatever. Isn't that weird? Isn't that something to laugh at? Or, oh, look at this thing. Isn't this gross? Isn't that horrible? Shouldn't we laugh at that too? Or, look at this incredibly mean situation or terrible person. Isn't that funny? Shouldn't we laugh at that? And yes, these things individually within certain contexts or certain jokes can be funny.
Wow, what'd you win that for?
For having the best pig in the competition.
Wait, you bred a pig?
Sure did. Most genetically perfect one in the contest.
Oink. Oh my god!
Yes, he's something, isn't he?
Are those fists?
Damn right, show him, pig.
I'm not trying to be the comedy police here and come tell people what they can and can't laugh at, but I am trying to point out that, to me at least, when you constantly use this same brand of, oh look at thing, laugh, it just kind of becomes repetitive and old, especially when you're constantly cycling through the same 6 different things to look and laugh at.
A clear example of this sort of thing is like the family's treatment of Meg. This is a joke that's been going on for like ever in Family Guy. And at this point, it's not really funny anymore, it's just mean, and the one episode where Meg finally does try to defend herself ends with her saying that she should be getting the abuse that she suffers. It's just a terrible message, and you end up feeling bad about it, and you kind of hate the other characters for being such assholes all the time. I understand that the comedy is supposed to come from this abuse, but after seeing it so often, it just doesn't faze me anymore. It's not funny, it's just kind of sad.
Okay, for an example, and when South Park did the console wars, they have a Black Friday scene in the mall where it's essentially a war going on. There's it's a bunch of bloodshed, it's awful, people running over each other, and they make it seem like some god-awful Game of Thrones sort of terrible medieval battle that you wouldn't want to be caught in. And they do this, right? And that kind of might seem like, oh, that's just using the same sort of shock humor, the same sort of, oh, gross, look at all the blood going everywhere, look at how horrible this is, isn't that funny? But they're also making a commentary about our consumer culture, about the fact that it is crazy and outrageous that people are killing one another on Black Friday over game consoles or the newest toy. So because you're pairing all of this outrageousness with an actual theme and a message, it works, and it's comedy lands. It's funny because it's true. What are they saying about Peter mutilating a whale with a forklift? You know, what is it just funny because gross? I don't understand. This is what really throws me off about modern Family Guy. Family Guy's legacy is one of innovation, controversy, and of pop culture impact. The show has been on for over 20 years, and it is still remarkably followed by a large fan base. That's impressive for any show. The show has helped redefine the comedy landscape and helped kind of redefine what to expect from television altogether. We can see its impact on pop culture in so many ways, from the countless rip-off shows and clones that it spawned, to when you see Family Guy clips in your TikTok and Instagram and all the memes that have spawned from them. The same way that SpongeBob kind of helped define the comedic sense of a generation, I think Family Guy did a lot of the same.
Moreover, Family Guy has introduced a cast of iconic characters that have become ingrained into pop culture. Characters like Peter Griffin, Stewie Griffin, Brian the Dog, and Quagmire, Cleveland Brown, Joe Swanson, and so many more have become instantly recognizable and beloved by fans around the world. The show's ability to create memorable characters has contributed to its enduring popularity and cultural impact. All these years later, however, the question arises, is it time to let the show go? The answer isn't exactly clear. There has been a noticeable shift towards a more streamlined and formulaic approach in recent episodes, and it seems as though the writers may have been running out of things to say for quite a while now. Yet despite this, the general population doesn't seem quite ready to give up on the Griffins, not yet at least. This show has been a constant in their lives for a while, a familiar presence in a changing world, and nobody's eager to get rid of it, not yet at least.
So, I posed the question to all of you out there. What do you think? Is Family Guy gone on too long? Should it stay around for a few more decades? Do you enjoy the show like you used to? I want to know all of your thoughts down in the comments below. I have been Doc, you've been watching Heroic Tales TV. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, be sure to like and subscribe. And with all of that being said, I'll see you guys next time. Go watch another video.